Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So today I have another pen video to show you, and if you've watched my pen club video for June 2018, you will have already have seen a cameo appearance of this pen. And so this is a pen that I picked up very recently and added to my collection. So a very dear friend and London UK Fountain Pen Club member, Mishka, is actually leaving the UK. And she was selling off a lot of her ink collection that she cannot take with her. And I offered to buy some of the bottles of ink from her. And she also suggested that she had a pen in a very large box that she also needed to find a good home for. So I had a look at it, and it turned out it was a Delta Dolce Vita. And this is a pen that I've looked at for a long time, and this was a pen that I've probably watched Matt Armstrong's video probably about 30 or 40 times, because he had the oversized version, and although I really liked the look of it, there were a number of things that actually did concern me about the pen. One was that it was just too oversized in terms of girth, which now I don't think would be a problem for me. But also a lot of the controversy around Marte Medina and Delta and availability and non-availability and things like that. So it actually ultimately put me off buying the Dolce Vita Federico Stantufo, which is the oversized version. But it's a lovely pen. Now the pen that he had on his video was a black and orange version. This is the white and orange version. So let me unbox this and I'll show you the pen, do some measurements, some weight checks, some comparisons, and we'll do a writing sample. So it comes in this, once I remove the sleeve, this outer card box, and it is literally just a card box. Nothing special about it, no inscription on it whatsoever. Now if I lift the lid, you'll see a number of things in here. So we have like a guarantee card, a Garanzia. My Italian isn't that good, so I apologise if I mispronounce some of the Italian pronunciations. A writing instruction booklet, which just basically tells you in each language how to fill the pen. A Delta sort of place card. I guess this is more for like if it's going to go on display type thing, I guess. Now this says it's a Panino Oro 14 cat 585 solid gold nib. Now this isn't that pen. So this is one of the things with I think Marte Medina that there's always been controversy over, is that they will actually provide like wrong instructions for pens, or incomplete boxes, or no boxes, and things like that. So then there's this lovely manual here. It shows the Dolce Vita range there, and it just goes into some of the instructions. It shows you the Dolce Vita Oro, which is what, strangely enough, this is. And then it shows the Dolce Vita Medium, the Dolce Vita Fusion, the Dolce Vita Oversize, the Dolce Vita Stantufo, and the Dolce Vita Stout. Now, this is actually the Federico, so it doesn't actually show that in that manual, but that doesn't bother me in the slightest. It also came with this pen pouch, one pen pouch from Delta. It came with a bottle of ink as well, and this is Delta Blue. So I've already tried that, and it's actually quite a nice blue, actually. And then it comes with this display here, and this is what I've seen on a number of videos. Now, not all of the pens from Delta at the time came in this kind of like glass box, but you basically have to unscrew these, for a better term, probably nuts or maybe washers. I think nuts, really. You then lift the plaque, move it out of the way, and then you have the pen that just floats there. And if I just zoom in a little, you'll be able to see this is the pen. So this is a lovely pen, and it does. I mean, if I zoom in a little bit here, if we can see this on camera, it says Delta Italy, Dolce Vita Federico, and it's number 180. Now, so that's the Federico, not the Federico Stantufo. As I understand it, the Stantufo, I think, is the slightly larger one. But then there is also the oversize as well. So, Deltas typically come very similar to Omar's with a roller clip here, just making it a lot easier to get it onto your shirt if you're going to be one of those people that actually pockets a pen a lot of the time. Now, in terms of the cap finial, just really has a fountain pen, Delta, and then we have the cap band here, which is a lovely kind of like scroll work. I really do like this, but the stunning part is this orange material that really is very chatoyant. So this is a really nice orange, and see if I can try and not get that to blow out. Let's bring it down a bit more. A white pen, it's trying to change the white balance quite a bit. But here you can see that it's a stunning pen. The chatoyance on that orange is just really does pop. And then sort of you come down to the end cap here, and you can unscrew the end cap. And normally this is where you would have, it would be a piston knob, but you don't have a piston, but you do have, and I'll show you here, if I unscrew the cap and then unscrew the barrel, you'll notice, there you go, it's actually the end of the cartridge converter. So I have this inked up, and I've already done quite a bit of writing with this. So you can just use the cartridge converter from here, or you can blindly use it from here and operate it from here without having to unscrew the body. So if you just wanted to prime the nib and the feed, perhaps, like that would probably be the easiest, quickest way of doing it without having to like unscrew the whole of the body. So that would be, I guess, quite useful. And I've seen this on a number of pens before. And it's also available now on the newer Leonardo pens, and the guys from Leonardo Aficionado are actually the ex-Delta guys, so or at least a couple of them anyway. So now if I zoom in here, you'll see here it is an 18 karat gold nib, and it's a broad nib, but that's quite a nice broad nib. Now, in terms of size, if I zoom out a bit more, you can see here it's around about an oversized pen. So it's in my hand, it's actually quite handy, and you can post the cap if you want to, but then like with most oversized pens, it does become a little bit of a wand. So it's not something you really probably would want to do that often. It doesn't really backweight the pen that much, but because it's not posting, as you can see here, it's not posting that deeply, like literally if I just like lift it off here, you still have the end cap here. So there is a slight back weight to it, but it's not pulling your hand back. So like you could write with this, like if you're well, we were discussing in our pen club recently, actually. There's a number of different writing angles. Now, some people write with the pen right in the crook here, between the thumb and the index finger. I tend to write with my pen like this. So I guess it really depends on how you hold your pen, how you write with your pen, what you find is more comfortable. Some people find it more comfortable writing like that, and some people find it more comfortable writing like that. So it really depends in terms of the length and the weight of the pen, and how back weighted it is, whether or not that may or may not be an issue for you. But I find though that I really do not need to post this pen at all. It's a nice weight. It's a cartridge converter, obviously. So it holds around about 0.7 milliliters of ink. It's a broad nib, so you will probably get through that ink somewhat quickly, but not as quick as maybe a stub nib like a 1.3, 1.5, 1.7, or even 1.9 millimeter stub. But you will get through that ink more quicker than an extra fine or medium, obviously. But I find this pen is really nice, and so I got it for a really good price, and I actually do like this. I'm glad that the opportunity came up to be able to buy a Delta again, because I'll say again, this is my first Delta, but the opportunity has come up again so that I could buy it. Initially, I thought, well, I might prefer the black version, with the black cap and black end cap and that. But to be honest, I'm actually glad that I didn't, and that basically I went for the white version, and that's all that Mishka had available. But I'm glad that it was the white version that she got, because I really do like this, and I do think this is a stunning material. This cracked ice effect. And having it in an orange as well, I think just makes it even more lovely to look at. So let's do some measurements. So in terms of size, we are looking at around about 142, 143 millimeters in length. The cap itself is about 63 millimeters. Uncap that. From the tip of the tines to the end cap, or the blind cap, we're looking around about 132 millimeters. So I normally suggest that an oversized pen is around about 130 millimeters upwards. So for me, this is in the oversized territory. Now, some people might actually say that they think that's a larger pen should be in the oversized, but 130 is normally what most retailers will say is an oversized. So let's do a weight check. So this is got about 3/4 of ink in the converter, so it's just under 38 grams. So it probably will be around just over 38 when fully inked. The cap itself is just under 11 grams, and then the pen is just under 25 grams. So it would probably be around about 25.3, I suspect. So it's I think that's quite a good weight, to be honest. And I loved how the pen just floats in here. And then you have that glass sort of ledge that just goes on top like this. It's just it's a lovely stunning display piece like that. So I think let's do a comparison with some other pens. So left to right, we have the Pelikan M600 Turquoise White. We have the Pelikan M800 Royal Gold Radon. We have a Visconti Opera Master Luna. We have a Visconti Medici Il Magnifico. We have the Delta Federico in white and orange. We have a Jinhao X450. We have a Visconti Homo Sapiens London Fog. we have a Visconti Divina Metropolitan. We have a Visconti Divina Oversize, and this is the Blue Typhoon, or the Typhoon Blue, without the E, BLU. And we have the Twisby Diamond 580 AL. So let's do a writing sample. So this is the Delta Dolce Vita, and this is the Federico, and this is a broad nib, and it's quite a wet nib as well, and I do like wet nibs. And the ink is Sailor Gentle, and it is Kin Makusai. And this, for me, is one of my favourite orange inks. I tend to go between Sailor Gentle, Kin Makusai, and, or Apricot, and I would say probably Pilot Iroshizuku Yuyaki, or Pelican Edelstein Mandarin. Those are my favourite oranges. Now, in terms of the line that it puts down on the page, this is just a broad nib, so without any pressure. Now, it's quite stiff, I'd say, but you can put a little bit of line variation down, maybe about 1.5 times, almost 2 times the width. So let's do some figure of eights. I am having to push a lot harder than I normally would do on most gold nibs, so I don't want to push this anymore because I don't want to spring the tines on this nib. So you can see here there is quite a bit of line variation to be had here, but again, that is pushing it quite hard. Now, when I say quite hard, there are varying levels of what people would call pushing a nib hard or not hard. I have never to date sprung any tines at all. So when I say I'm pushing it hard, I'm pushing it to the maximum of what I feel is capable. And now that may be completely different for somebody else. And also, I think it also will differ depending on the angle you're writing at. If you're writing at this angle, more of an upright angle, and you're pushing it that hard, you're probably going to swing the tines. So I tend to write more so at around about a 45 or 35 degree angle, and I'm very careful, and I just push just at slight gradients just to increase the pressure slowly, and not really like full-on pressure from zero pressure. Now, in terms of wetness, so let's have a look here. Now, orange inks tend to be quite dry, I would say. And a lot of reds and browns tend to be, unless, of course, they have actually been lubricated quite well. So, this is quite a wet nib. It's not fire hose. Fire hose is normally, I would say, would come to about here in terms of the smear test. So but it's not a dry nib. And bearing in mind this is a dry ink, if I put a wet lubricated ink in here, then it probably would come more to around about here, getting on towards sort of the fire hose, but still probably not a fire hose nib at that point. But it is a very, very wet pen. Now, this is an 18 karat gold nib, and I really do like it. For me, this is really good. Now, this did come from originally from Marte Medina, and there are lots of controversies. I have a number of pens that have come via Marte Medina in the past, and some of them are missing boxes, or some of them have taken 8 or 12 weeks to arrive. That typically is what most people seem to have issues with Marte Medina. So This pen writes perfectly. It's a really nice pen. I've not had any problems with the other pens I've had from them. It's just been niggly things like you have to wait an age to get the pen, or you don't get the box, or you get the box but you get the wrong box or the wrong manuals, which is kind of what we have here. The only issue that I would say is that basically when you try to cap the pen, like if I do this here, now that's capped perfectly fine. So you can see here that the thread's locked then. Now all I had to do is just move the pen back a little bit and it's actually unlocked it. So it's not that there's one thread, there's multiple threads on this pen, but it's not as though, and there you go, it's locked again and I can't twist it anymore. Now all I've got to do is just move it back a little bit and then it locks again, and then there you go, and now it works. So the actual threads on the pen are a little bit sort of and you'll see here if I zoom in, the start of the threads here are a little bit rough, and there you can see it. So that's the problem there. So probably this, when it was sold to Martin Medina from Delta, was probably a second-hand pen, because you can see there the threads on how sort of chipped that looks, and then here's another thread here that starts. So it's just one of those things. So it's easy to get around. It's not a problem. You just have to go to unscrew the, like, as soon as I put it in, it locked again and again. So you just unscrew it and then screw it back, and then it's fine. But it was just something I thought I would mention. If you have, or if you are buying any Delta pens on the second-hand market, it's possible if they come through Martin Medina, you might have some quality issues there. But outside of that, I really do like this pen, and that in itself does not bother me one piece whatsoever. So what's important to me is the pen more than anything. And I got this for a really good price, so I don't have any issues with that. But I thought it was worth mentioning on this review, though, because I know there's been a lot of controversy centered around Martin Medina in the past, and still is. But so this really, it's a lovely pen. It's an 18 karat gold broad nib. And for me, it writes really well, and I'm really glad that I was able to pick this up from Mishka, and it was for a very good price as well. So I'm quite glad that I picked it up. So thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.